Hi, everybody. This is Allison from Allykatkreations. How are you? Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you have yet to do so. And if you get anything from my work, a connect the dot, an epiphany, a mind-blown moment, or explosion, a new book to read, a new author to explore, please consider supporting my work. All the links are at the bottom of the description of this video. I also started a new TikTok channel with little shorts of some of the books that I've read on this channel with little snippets of uplifting enlightenment. Go check that out. That link will be at the bottom of the description. I played with something and I like it. Usually I put a crystal quartz, but I put some black tourmaline in. And I got some pyrite and really nice stones on the bottom. This is a small. So if you're interested, AllyKatCreations211.com. I didn't upload that yet, but a lot of my work is there. Email me. Gem card holders. Still got to shave this one down. Mazel tov. Got gems. This is you put your business cards in. Yellow, green, blue. I got lots of different colors. Skulls. Scullies. So if you're interested in any of my work, I make candles too. I've been doing that a lot. Check out my website. Support me that way. You get an exchange, just not knowledge. Hi. We're doing Oahspe. So this top book we're going to end today, depending on the timing, we will go into the lower book, which then continues for a while. But I wanted to get the top done today because it does end. So we'll see what we can do and how time is managed. And my projection of words is flowing today. We'll see. As we know, I can't read this book that well. Whatever. Yes. So we're going to start at chapter 23. When at, yes, on it is, on it us, generals and their hosts went through Vinu and Jaeth and Arabinia. They concerted with the gods who had in charge the inspiration Acalypia of Moses and Sheen. And not only did the angel generals remove the Judras from mortals, but inspired mortal kings and queens in their great divisions of the earth to issue edicts against magicians and priests who consulted the spirits. Jehovah had said, "It shall be a testimony in the latter days unto the inhabitants of the earth of my proceedings, not with one division of the earth only, but with all places. For they shall in after years search history and find that in the same era, in these three great divisions of the earth, the kings and queens issued edicts against spirit communion. And this fact shall be testimony of my cycle of bond, wherein man shall understand that I come not in one corner of the earth only, and to one people only, but that I have them all in my charge as a father that knoweth his children. Neither give I unto them the same aspirations, for one I send westward to circumscribe the earth, one I build up with a multitude of languages and a multitude of gods, and the third one I build up without any god save myself. And they shall understand that where there are many languages, there are many gods worshipped. Where there is one language, there is only one worship, even me, the Great Spirit. For in Cosmon, I will bring them together, and these diversities shall be as a key to unlock the doctrines and languages of times and seasons long past. Man living away from other men becometh conceited in himself, deploring the darkness of others, and great nations become conceited of themselves and their doctrines. Each one of the great peoples saying, behold yonder barbarians. I was the chosen in his especial care. Those others are only heathens and have not been worthy of the great spirits concerned. But in this day I plant the seed of my testimony, which shall come up and blossom and bear fruit in 3,000 years. On it us and his generals with their millions of angel hosts cleared off the judges of the earth, the angels of darkness. They extended east and west and north and south around all the earth and all the divisions thereof into every nook and corner. Day and night on it us and his armies labored, ceased not, nor rested, but in good method went on, filling all the lowest places of earth and heaven with their transport boats of fire. And the boats sped hither and yonder without ceasing, loaded in their ascent with the screaming, frightened Drudras, all under guard and duly preserved against accident or harm by the wise angels over them. Some Drudras were especially captured and carried away, some weak, helpless, and harmless, but hundreds of millions of them mad and most desperate, some evil, fearful in desperate oaths, and foul talk and dangerous withal. But others were most pitiful in their love to linger with their mortal kindred mothers, whose children dwelt on the earth, and children's spirits, whose mothers dwelt on the earth. To separate them and carry away such Drudras was a most heart-trending task, requiring godlike souls to accomplish it. Jehovah had said, as a mortal mother will cling to the mortal body of her dead child, till her friends must tear them apart, the while all souls who look on are broken-hearted because of her love. Even such is the bond betwixt the spirit of the dead and the mortal, yet left behind. But when my wise angels look upon them and perceive they are carrying each other down in darkness, then shall they be torn asunder, and the spirit shall be taken away and provided for ultimate resurrection, and only permitted to visit the mortal kin under due guardianship. On the battlefields of the earth, where hundreds of millions of spirits in chaos still fighting imaginary battles, not knowing their bodies were dead, knowing not but to curse and fight, roving over the battlefields, and would not away save by capture and being carried off. Thus did on it us and his mighty host clear the earth, but of their great labors and wonderful adventures 1,000 books might be written, and thousands of heroes singled out, whose great achievements overwhelm one's belief because of the manifested love and power. And yet, not much less were the labors and adventures of Yosemite in and her 6 heavenly places, where his Etherian host labored unceasingly, preparing places and keepers and nurses and physicians and teachers for the delivered Drudras, the thousands of millions. Jehovah said unto Yosemite, thou shalt assort the Drudras, the peaceful to themselves, the dumb to themselves, the mad, the chaotic, and all other of my afflicted ones, providing sections and places for them, and teachers and nurses and physicians, for they shall be delivered out of the darkness also. Every one of them shall become as a star of glory in heaven. And Yosemite and his gods developed the 6 heavens of Uzga, something like that, established places for the tens of millions of Drudras, and provided order and discipline in altars of worship in schools and colleges and factories, and all things whatever so required in a primary heaven. Interesting there. Jehovah spake to Lika, saying, behold, the end of dawn draweth nigh. Go thou once more around about the earth and her heavens, and examine into the labor of thy gods. And thou shalt take with thee thy Rapon hosts, and a sufficient number of heralds and attendants, and such musicians and messengers as thou desirest. And when thou art come to Yatanti, my subjective heaven, thou shalt halt a while with Kaparos, and reestablish it in greater holiness and efficiency, for this is my only subjective heaven in the regions of the red star. Behold the spirits of those that die in infancy and call out to me, saying, tell us, O thou creator, how is it with the earth? How is it with mortals who dwell on the earth? What did they toil at? Have the schools and hospitals and factories like unto ours? Have mortals mishaps and trials? And have they roadways, oceans of water on the hard earth? How can these things be, O Jehovah? Why is it that mortals cannot go down into the earth and into the bottoms of their oceans, even as we do in the heavens? How didst thou create us alive in the earth? What was the place like? Why do mortals carry around with them such earth houses, bodies? Cannot they go in and out of them at pleasure? What do mortals mean, O Jehovah, by mortal life and mortal death? Doth the clay and stone and water they dwell in, the earth body, have life and death? What do they mean by, this is mine and that is thine? Shall everyone retain his own body? How do the earth bodies grow? Do they eat clay and stone and water? Where do they get their blood? And do they eat hair, that they may have earth hair? Why is it that they bring not up their bodies with them when they are dead? Wear thy clothes over the spirit body only, and over the earth body also. Great are thy works, O Jehovah. Take me to Yatanti, thy great subjective heaven. We would learn by figures in pantomime the illustrations of the earth. We would learn by thy panoramic heaven what mortals do, how they live, and what their schools are like, how they have contrived to teach the corporal senses by corporal things, how their boats are made and propelled, how their vehicles travel along upon the solid earth. Jehovah said, for which reason, O Lika, thou shalt see to it that Yatanti be perfected unto this instruction, as well as to the arouse from stupor the spirits of the dead, who desire not to rise up from the earth. Lika told the Rapon hosts Jehovah's words, and he also gave command to his chief marshals to provide the necessary akven with officers, heralds, musicians, and messengers. Accordingly, as soon as all things were in readiness, Lika committed the throne of Jehovah in Theovarakistan to his vice goddesses, and Lika and Rapons, when their attendant hosts departed on their journey. Now, since the time of Lika in the plateau of Theovarakistan, it had been inhabited by thousands of millions of angels, and they were high in the grades, so that the officers of the selection were already preparing them by the millions for brides and bridegrooms to Jehovah. And there were thousands of heavenly cities besides Yoganatwatra, which were now in beauty and gaiety, refinement and delight, with music and rites and ceremonies most magnificent. Then there were officers over these officers, whose place it was to sort and arrange the inhabitants of cities, and others over these for each 144 cities. And yet another over these officers, and he was called Marshal of Theovarakistan. And he was of the same rank as the marshals of the hosts of Lika, conferring with the marshals in chief of Jehovah's throne. Jehovah said to Lika, finish thy visit and thy inspection, my son, in all places of Hada on the earth, leaving the land of Japheth to the last, and thou shalt go thither at the time of Sheen's resurrection, and descend with thy ship, and take him up from the earth. And thou shalt bring him with thee to Yoganatwatra, where he shall remain the few days that dawn remaineth. And when thy hosts ascend to Etheria, thou shalt take Sheen with thee, and make thy home his home until such time as he may be taught the ways and the powers of the higher heavens. For such his corporeal life is a sacrifice for the resurrection of men. He shall receive special care and assistance in heaven. Lika had been previously informed by the god of Sheen as to the time Sheen would die and be burnt up, with his ashes scattered to the four winds, and the regathering up of the corporeal form of Sheen and the 7 days duration thereof. So Lika shaped the course of his Octavian according to the instruction of his messengers, who had been appointed for that purpose, so that he should reach the field in time to rise up Sheen before the multitude. The god of Sheen had prophesied to mortals through his ward that a fire ship would descend from heaven on a given day and take Sheen up to heaven. Accordingly, a great multitude of mortals were assembled in the ash field, where they cast the ashes of the dead, watching for the heavenly ship, of which matters Lika had been previously informed by his messengers, and Lika had in turn informed the god of Sheen the time he would appear with the ship, that he might cause Sheen to walk in the midst of the field and so be caught up. And all these matters were carried out to the hour and minute in the hands of these great gods. And Lika caused the fire of the ship to be made visible to the mortals, and the size of the ship was 10 times larger than the field of the dead, so that when the people beheld the light of the ship, they feared and trembled, and many of them fell down, bewailing the world was coming to an end. And God caused Sheen to walk out in the field, and Lika sent down a whirlwind and took him up into the ship in presence of tens of thousands of mortals assembled. And Lika bore his course now for Yoga Aquatra, and for the end of the dawn of Bon was at hand. Lika sent messengers to all his gods and lords to install their successors and to bestow them, after which the gods and lords were to report to Theobarakistan, ready for the cycle resurrection. And he commanded them to bring their Etherian hosts with them, save such as those to volunteer to remain until the next dawn, 200 years. Lika had previously sent word by his swift messengers to Etheria, to Lissa, goddess of Tianak in Etheria, next to Haugil, and he said, until Lisa, my resurrection will be 8 lengths, each one equal to 8,000 million brides and bridegrooms. Send thou a Kaupon to deliver them. Lisa sent back word to Lika, saying, O Jehovah, I am delighted with the command of thy son Lika, chief of Veta Purusa. I will deliver the chain of Kaupion. Then Lisa gave her commands to Tianak to have her builders construct the Kaupon, and she also set her officers to work selecting such hosts as she would need for a great undertaking, for she had been notified insufficient time, for it was a matter of great magnitude even in the Etherian realms. And so perfectly were Lisa's commands carried out that not 1 day's time, too much or too little, was wide the mark. And then she embarked with her hosts for the Red Star, the Earth, with her 1,000 million trained resurrectionists on her long journey, 20,000 million miles. Jehovah had said, carry for my brides and bridegrooms, make them know the magnificence of the heavens I have created. House them not together in a small corner. Let them feast their souls on the splendors of my great heavens. In the time of Lika and his hosts in Theovaristan, were getting ready for the ceremonies and for the ascension. The gods with their hosts were now coming in from every quarter of the lower heavens, bringing in their harvests and quartering them in the places allotted by the marshals. Most conspicuous, you know what I mean, and beloved of all was Ahura. Next to him were the 5 true gods, Inan, Injek, Inlay, Inol, and Ineth, with their heavenly hosts restored to them, for it was through the 5 gods that the 3 mortals, Calypia, Moses, and Sheen, had delivered the faithless of Vinu, Jaeth, and Arabia. These 5 gods had in their 5 years changed the mortals' dominions and laws of Vinu and Jaeth, and sent 4 million faithists on the westward journey round the earth, and had firmly established the Old One in the 4 great divisions of the earth, and had delivered from bondage all the faithists on the face of the earth. Great also was the work accomplished by At-Yes-on-Idus and by Eusemus, and by the gods had delivered the hells and the knots, and by many others. So good and great were the works of them all, that a history of any one of them in the 5 years' labor would make a book that a man could not read in the lifetime. And they had left successors to carry out what they had founded, so that all the lower heavens were in order, system, and discipline, such as had not been for 2,000 years. The judges of the earth were removed away from the mortals. The battlefields of the earth were cleared of the chaotic spirits slain in wars, so that the whole earth and her heavens were delivered into a new condition in the way and form of Jehovah's light. And this was the ark of deliverance in Bon. Then descended Lisa with her chain of cowpon, with her ships and fire stretched wide as the earth. And the hosts of Theovakistan and brides and bridegrooms, 64,000 million sons and daughters of Jehovah, stood waiting, watching, nervous, but filled with inexpressible delight. And they saw the cowpon coming, knew the mission of the mighty goddess Liza, daughter of Jehovah. Arrayed in spotless white, the 64,000 million stood shuddered at the etheric current. The whirlwind of the higher heaven stood the exalted affiance of the great Jehovah. Affiance? I don't know. Nearer and nearer came the mighty sea of the Etherian fire, and nearer till it landed at the plateau of Theovakistan. Then came forth Lisa, saluting and being answered by Lika, Jehovah's son, proceeded before Jehovah's throne. Then Lisa demanded in the usual form why she had been summoned in Jehovah's name. Lika also answered in the usual form to bestow Jehovah's affiance, sons and daughters. After this, each of the 5 gods of the earth took their hosts and bequeathed them to Jehovah through Lisa, his daughter. But so great and grand were the ceremonies that mortal words cannot describe them. And as for the awe and magnificence together with the music, could they be described to mortals understandingly? They are scarce, could live because of the enchantment. But there is a time and a limit and an end to all such matters, and so there was to the labor of Lika, son of Jehovah. The hosts were wed, and they marched aboard the great Etherian ships, the cowpon. Lika and his hosts went into his own Aravanga, and as it were, with a thread of light, he made fast to the cowpon and gave the word, the command to go. The rise up, the mighty seas of fire, and the 8-linked cowpon and the Alvanga, slowly, steadily, moving onward, upward, higher and higher, faster and faster, and still higher. And thus departed Lika from his thousands of millions of upright sons and daughters of Jehovah. And thus ended the dawn of Bon. So the next time we will get back into the book of the Ark of Bon. So there's no confusion there. And I also have to do some things today, so I wanted to get a little bit of a shorter reading in. So guys, I hope that you enjoyed that section of the book of Lika. That now is finished. We're gonna go on to the Ark Book of Bon. Yeah. So please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Check out my website. Check out my TikTok. Support Amish Mindset. It looks like I have a job. I'm filling out paperwork on Thursday. Really excited. So I'm hoping that my schedule allows me to continue this channel, but I need support in doing so. So with that, guys, thank you so much. sending each and every one of you love, light, compassion, grace, shielding, and protection energy. Please be safe, be seen, go within, be the lighthouse for others, be creative, be the spark of the creative reality we're manifesting, and let's have positive thoughts. Until the next time, guys, I will see you on the next one. Bye for now.